Hello, Chandra. Okay. So we are in the process of creating an EC2 instance yesterday. In the launch instance section, we didn't actually complete the instance creation yesterday, right? We left it in the middle, so it is not auto drafted or something, but you lose all that whatever you did. So you have to do it from scratch again. Okay. 52.micro. Yeah. So we have chosen a VPC. We have chosen a default availability zone. Auto assign public IP. So it automatically assigns a public IP when you say when you enable it. Okay. And IAM role. Let's start somewhere here. Right. Okay. So here, coming to IAM, what all are there in IAM? Okay. Identity and access management. Okay. So what all it is saying? It has so many sections under it. So in details, we have something called as groups. So here you can create a new group, okay, and categorize users into groups, okay. So users. So these are the users which I have, okay. So if at all I have to create a new user, create a new user. Now it says download security credentials. So you have to save the security credentials, okay. So it's very important. There will be two files which you need to download it, okay. So this is something if you have to communicate with your Amazon Web Services instance, via some other tool or via some other service, okay, actually via some other service. So in such scenario, you need AWS credentials. So when you download those credentials, you get a access and secret key along with you. So when you say download credentials, let's see what is happening. See, you have a username, you have a access key, a secret key. This is the username, this is access key till here, and this is your secret key. Okay. So after we save this, we need to click close. User actions, add users to groups. This is from where you add users to groups. Okay. Delete user, manage access key, manage password, manage signing certificates, verify devices, and remove users from groups. Okay. So first one and last one. If you have to remove or add a user to group, you go with either first option or last option. Okay. So delete user, you go with delete user option. And
Spandan, I have a doubt here. So how can we integrate the AD users to the AWS missions? How can we access
access
the?
direct.
Yes, in a private
Add
environment, we'll have a Active Directory, right?
in a Windows based environment.
Yes. So how can we access? How can we give the? How can we access this AWS missions through AD users? So in live environment, it will be like that only, right?
So yeah, when it comes to Windows, it would be like that. So there is Usability, I've worked
I mean,
on
to
it.
say how can we integrate the AD users to the AWS?
It's a bit different process. So
Mhm.
probably I'll tell you tomorrow because I've done it already.
Okay,
I've done it for one of the projects. So let me just reach, I mean, I don't remember it properly. So let me
okay,
just try to see my step once and tell you, okay?
okay. And please don't forget, even I might forget and that's why.
Yeah. So, and manage password, okay? Manage access keys, whatever you have, and if you want to manage any password for your users and all this stuff, you can find it from here. So, if I go ahead and say delete user, it's deleted, okay? So now go to rules. So this is where IAM role is actually created. So just create a new role. And what are we going to select for it? Let's select EC2. Let's say administrative access. I'm giving it full access. Let's say. Or else you can choose what all you want to give access. Very
Can you
simple.
explain about these roles and the pulses?
EC2 full access. So it says that for any EC2 operations you have full access. For S3 you have full access. Code commit you have full access. Code deploy role you have limited access for it. So it is quite understandable actually. By the name it says how much access you have to the corresponding service actually.
Okay, but I mean, we haven't discussed about what is EC2 and what is S3 and other things, right? So are we gonna discuss later, or is it this session is going to create a test mission for our lab practice, or we are discussing about complete AWS like that?
We are in a process of creating an instance as we were doing it yesterday.
Okay,
So those are different topics. So if we keep on discussing on those topics now, so we'll not be
mhm.
able to complete this installation at this point of time.
Okay, okay,
So when you say create role, it creates a test role for us. So this is our policy which is there. It says that it means Amazon EC2 full access. If I have to add one more policy, I can go back and select something, whatever I want. Let's say attach it. That's it. This is how I attach a policy, and this is from detached policy. You can remove that policy as well. Okay. So my enroll. What will be the shutdown behavior? It should be stop. If you say terminate, whenever you stop your instance, it gets terminated. Means it gets deleted. Tag instance. So Linux test instance. Yes. You have come to security. Okay. So there's an option to create a new security group and an option to select an existing security group. So what is a security group all about? It speaks about your inbound and outbound access. So what is inbound access and what is outbound access? Very simple. So what all inbound, what all you know uh, requests or calls needs to be allowed into your EC2 instance, or what all data or whatever calls has to be allowed outside, whatever traffic has to be allowed outside and whatever traffic has to be allowed inside. That is what it totally speaks about, the security group. Okay, so you can easily see from here. Let's say create a new security group. So just come with SSH. So these are all the different types of rules which we have. Okay, so you can keep on choosing one among them. So I said SSH, TCP. Okay, we have port number 22 and it is accessible from anywhere. Means you would be able to SSH to this instance from anywhere. When coming to a secured environment, it would be restricted from where it would be accessible. So you have custom TCP rule, UDP rule, ICMP rule, okay, protocols, okay, all traffic you can allow. So this is one way in which we say allow all traffic that is coming, okay. And if you don't want to see that, you can specify allow HTTP and allow HTTPS, okay, to access it to your browser. Okay, so it all says about in which port is it running, okay, which port should be opened for it actually, and from source is it expected from any particular IP address. Okay, so saying from my IP address, or else you can say from any custom IP where you can add your IP address or anywhere. It's common. Okay, so let's say we selected all the stuff and our this is a place where you create your name. So now you have review and launch, the 7th step and the last step. So what is it speaking about? This is just showing you all the details which you have selected. Funny, can you mute it from your end? It's causing a little disturbance.
Sure.
Details. Okay, so it's saying what is the Amazon Linux image which you will be using, and after that it speaks about the instance type. We have chosen it to be T2.micro. Then what is the vCPU and what is the RAM it has, what is the memory it has, internal storage it has, what type of storage it has, what would be the network performance. All these parameters it is speaking about. When coming to security groups, it speaks about the inbound traffic rules. Okay, instance details, storage details, and everything. So click launch. Okay, what does it do? What does it say? It's saying choose an existing key pair, create a new key pair, or proceed without a key pair. So when you say key pair, you can give some name. Okay, and after giving some name, you have to download this key pair and save it. If you are not able to save it, you will never be able to download this once again. You will be allowed to download it only once at the time of creation of this key pair, and without this key pair we will not be able to remotely access your Amazon instance. That is, you will never be able to SSH to your Amazon instance without this key pair. Okay, choose an existing key pair. I am going with an existing one. So DevOps is the one which I had already. If you lose your key pair, the only thing that could be done is terminate that instance and create one more instance with one more new key pair so that you will be able to log into that instance. What are we going to do from GUI? Nothing but management of instances, that is logging in, no sorry, that is seeing whether an instance in a start state, whether whether is it running properly, or that's it. I cannot do anything from here. Okay, so apart from that, if I have to install something inside it, configure it, or start working on it, I need to access it via remotely. So if I have to access it remotely, I need to have a key pair. Okay, so now says it is running. And status check should also be completed actually. Okay, so meanwhile, let's see, when we click on instance, what all options are we able to get. Description states about the instance ID. This is the instance ID, so unique ID. Instance type state, it says that it is running. And what is it? The instance type, it is t2.micro, and there's the private DNS IPs, DNS and IP address. This is the public DNS and public IP address. Okay, availability zone is US-1B, which I've selected. Okay, VPC ID, this is the VPC ID which we have used. Security groups, Linux test group, that's security group. So from here you can even try to view the security rules. Okay, any scheduled events. This is the AMI ID which we have used. This IAM role deploy which we have used. The key pair name which we have used. And this is my owner. This is the number which is generated for each and every user. So for my user, it is this. Okay, and source check, it is true. Okay, it says. It speaks about few more details. Status check, saying that it is initializing and actually does two status checks. One is system status check and another is instance status check. So it has to show you 2 by 2. Okay, and that means 2 checks are successful out of 2. Okay, and monitoring. Here you get all the details about your instance. What is the CPU utilization? Okay, what is the disk read bytes, write bytes, network details, status check, details, CPU credit balance, usage, everything can be monitored here. Okay, still initializing. See the first one. It says status check is done, 2 by 2 checks are done, it's up and running. Fine. So now this is our public IP, right? So how are we actually remotely, how are we going to actually access our instance in from a remote means, that is from PuTTY. So how are we going to access it from PuTTY? Type your IP address here, 54.175.9.52. This is in the session tab, okay? So now scroll all this and go to SSH. In SSH you have auth. In auth, browse, and it is a .ppk file. Whatever we have downloaded is a .pm file. So how are we going to create, okay, that conditions. So how are we going to actually generate a .ppk from a .pem file? So just go to PuTTY. Initially we get a .pem file which should be converted to a .ppk so that first step of authentication could be completed. So go to conversions, import key, so your .ppk would be stored in this symbol, okay? You can just see it. Yeah, the sub-pem file, .pem file, okay? Open that .pem file and say save private key. Say yes, save it without a phrase. So it is saved. So this should actually will allow you to log in. So if at all it is not allowing you to log in, there is one more way in which we generate it. So if at all one doesn't work, try another way. Sometimes it works in one way and the other way. After you import key from conversions, go ahead and say generate. And you have to keep on moving your mouse over it. So now try to save your private key. So there's two ways in which we try to generate a .ppk file from a .pem file, which will be useful for us to log into a EC2 instance. Okay, so why do we actually need to log into a EC2 instance? So because if you need to make any of the configuration changes, or if you have to actually start working on your instance, so you need your .ppk file. Okay, so now here I need a .ppk file. The server host key is not a cache in the registry. You have no guarantee that a server is in the compute. So think it. So it says in this scenario you have to go with an option yes before we log in. Change settings. Yes. So what all instances do we have? We have a Linux instance, we have Ubuntu, we have Windows and everything, right? So when it comes to Linux, so it is asking for a username. So what was the username? EC2 hyphen user. So username for Linux. If it is Ubuntu, it is UBUNTU, Ubuntu. Okay. So now you are in the user, EC2 user. Okay. So now in a Linux environment, anything we want to do, you have to do a yum. You have to run it with yum. So every time you log into your instance, make sure that you're updating it once. Okay. I'll do sudo -i so that I get root privileges. Okay. See if there is some update, 18 MB. Just trying to download and update it. This update is completed. So now we are inside a EC2 instance. So how did we create it? We went to launch instance. We have provided it a name for our instance, the type of instance, okay? And after that, we have created a VPC subnet IAM role, and then we have gone ahead to tag this instance, create a security group to it, okay? And after creating a security group, we've gone ahead and initiated a launch instance, so which has helped us to create this instance. And how did we log into this instance? We have used our .pem file, and before we actually completed instance creation, it asks for a key pair. So you need to create a key pair and save that key pair. So here, okay, so if you are not using a valid key pair through which this instance is launched, it will not allow you to log into this instance at any point of time. So that key pair should be, that's the .pem format, which should be converted to .ppk via PuTTY, and then we would be able to access this EC2 instance. Just now we have created an instance creation, completed instance creation. We have seen how we are able to log into our EC2 instance. So instance lifecycle management. Right click, instance state. We have different states: start, stop, reboot, terminate. Stop. As when you say start, if at all your instance is in stopped state, you get an option to start it, okay? And when you say stop, if your instance is already started and up and running in that scenario, you get an option to stop your instance, okay? And reboot. It is like start and shut down, okay? And reboot. So when you click reboot, it actually reboots your EC2 instance. When you start and stop, or when you stop and start your instance IP address gets changed, okay? When you see terminate, what happens? It means that you're trying to delete this instance forever. So it will go ahead and delete this instance. You have instance settings. So attach or edit tags, whichever tags means whichever you are given. Attach to auto scaling group, okay? and change to termination process, get system log, change shutdown behavior. These are all some settings of the instance. And for image, you can always create an image of this EC2 instance which is running from here. Networking, change security group, attach network interface, change source or destination, and manage private IP address. This is what you can be done. In CloudWatch, that is monitoring service, you can enable detailed monitoring to it. Okay. Once you enable it, if you want to disable it, you can go ahead and say disable it as well. So this is all about EC2 instance creation.
Spandana, I have a doubt here. So
Yes,
like
sir.
while you're starting an instance, it uses the ephemeral storage, right? So when you stop it, it when you instead of terminating, when you stop it, it get removes the image. So how can we add the elastic block storage to this instance? So
It
without
uses elastic block storage. It doesn't use ephemeral storage.
in this instance it uses ephemeral storage, elastic block storage.
Yeah, right. It uses EBS.
Okay.
See, I don't know if you've seen it or not. I've shown you clearly when I've tried launching an instance.
Okay.
What is the instance storage? It is EBS. It's
Okay.
an
Okay.
EBS volume. It is not an ephemeral volume. It's an
Okay.
EBS volume. Ephemeral volume, whenever you stop and start at the instance, the storage space is always released back to the pool of available resources. So how can
Yes.
your data persist there? Your data can never be persistent. It is that in that scenario, the shutdown behavior needs to be terminate. It acts in a way in which the shutdown behavior is terminate in all the times, which means it actually terminates that instance, which actually means that it is clearing all the data related to that instance. In such a scenario, there is no option giving stop and terminate separately, right?
Yes.
Understood. So when you actually come to EC2 Management Console, it shows you how many instances are up and running. It showed us one instance up and running. So what is that one instance? It is this Linux TXT. Okay. So let's see AWS GUI a little more. EC2. We have seen how to create an instance, how to stop an instance, and how to delete an instance. Okay. So after instance creation, we have seen how we can log into that instance as well. So that ends EC2. Okay. So now going ahead with another topic. We have seen identity and access management, how we are going to create roles, security groups, and we see how to create a group. We have seen it, we didn't do it. So this is your group, and to all the users in a group, you have EC2 full access, full access, full access. Okay. It's creating a group. Okay. So number of users to this group is 0. Just go to users, check in this user and user actions. Click this user, you can see its permissions. That's the dash policy. So it doesn't have any policies. So go to groups, add users to groups. Okay, but what is the group? This is the group policy. So even though you don't give any permissions to this user, it picks up permissions from the group policy, okay, and tries to access EC2 put commit and S3 whatever services we have given. It should be able to access it. And you can always remove users from group. That's it. This is how you attach and remove users to a group. And policies. So this is where you write your customized policies for your security needs. Okay, it's again specific to a project, specific to your client, and specific to your requirement. This is a place where we actually modify and write our policies. Account settings. And this is the credential report. If you want to report, download any report, you can download it. You have encryption keys. So from here you can create and manage encryption keys, okay, which will be easy to manage, what do you say, access to your services. The PC we have seen, okay. I'm just going to brief you what is workspace. I'm not going to take you there. So what does a workspace means? If at all your instance is, or your instance is, it has to be in a private subnet. It cannot be accessed from an external environment. In such an environment, how are we actually going to access your environment from a public network, or from other places? How are you going to access it? So let's say in your office you're able to access your instance because it is within the VPC, but how are you going to access the same instance out of your office? You need Amazon Workspaces for that. So you need to log into Amazon Workspace, and from there you would be able to access your instance. So AWS Workspace needs a user created for it, and needs a separate installation on your desktop, after which you will be able to access the instances which are created in the private subnet. We have one more topic now, it is S3. Storage and content delivery. static storage and content delivery actually. So what does this mean? And why, when do we need this? Suppose when we are moving from one stage to another, or in middle of some operations, we need some data to be fetched from somewhere and used it in our deployment process, or used in our pipeline process. So every time going and actually hitting a DB server and fetching the data is really a tough job. Actually, it takes a lot of time for this. So instead, all that such data is placed over S3, which makes data transfer even more faster as well. So it is when we speak about services, when you spoke about IAM, when you spoke about IAM is again global. It is not specific to region. When you speak about EC2 services, you can see it is specific to a geographical location. If I go to some other location, I need to again create a key pair. I need to again create whatever I need, for just instance creation. Then you say launch instance. But your subnet network is your, this your subnet, which is specific. Your subnet is specific to your region. Okay, so now here it shows you it is not 1A 1C or something, US East hyphen 1A 1C or something. It is US West hyphen 2A to C, whatever the naming convention that is specified for it is shown here. So which is different. Okay, so you need to, again, if you want to actually customize something, you need to create a new subnet again over here. Okay, and the IAM role, which is global. So now coming to S3, it is also global. So which means that it doesn't have any location. It doesn't have any location constraint, which can be accessed from anywhere. Anywhere means any geographical location inside your AWS account. So there is something called as a bucket. Okay, a folder inside S3 is called as a bucket. Okay, so inside your bucket you put all your data. So create bucket, name should be, it should be unique name when it's a test. See, it will say it is not allowed to do. Says name already exists. So your bucket is created. So for your bucket, these are all the properties from where you actually control your bucket properties. Okay, so this is the permissions. So who are users can actually list, upload, view and delete data from your bucket. And one more, login. If you want to keep a track of all the options that are going on, you have to enable login. And versioning, yes. So you have to enable versioning so that it is not required all the time. If at all you make sure that you're using this S3 somewhere in your pipeline. In that scenario, we need to make sure that your S3 versioning is enabled, which means that which notifies this environment every time a new version is updated to your bucket. That's it. Lifecycle. Nothing is activated. So you can add different rules to your bucket lifecycle. Cross-region replication is an option in which you can actually replicate your environment into other geographical regions. Okay, that's it. Tag the name of the instance. Just go to 98, just click on it, it will take you inside. It says you don't have anything inside, and this is the properties of your bucket. It might be empty, but still there's the properties, the same which we have seen outside. Create a folder. So now for your folder, you can create one more folder inside it, or upload some file into it.
So S3 is the objective storage, right?
Yes.
Like in NFS file, for the NFS file systems, other thing, right?
Yeah, it is actually used for intermediate storage of files when we go through a pipeline as well.
I didn't get you.
So if at all your pipeline has different stages, okay, and some data has to be transferred to it when it goes, during your process, it needs some data, okay. So instead of, rather than going and hitting DB and getting that data would be stored in S3 and fetched directly from there. So going to properties. So this is the link actually which we have. So, but this link I mean, this link actually points to the folder or file which we have inside it. So when you specify it from this link for, specify this exact zip folder for deployment or build purpose. So in that scenario, you're going to use this link actually. So in that, fetch data from this link, okay. So is the owner, what's the rules, what is the permissions we have for it, and other details, everything would be listed here. Similarly, when you go to actions, you have an option to delete. So this is where from you will be deleting some data. So this is about S3. Okay, we will probably start on scripting or some other topic on Monday, fresh. Okay.
We completed AWS.
What was it?
We completed AWS.
No, we haven't said. We are touching the basics of AWS which we require.
Okay.
So AWS is not fully taught in this course.
Okay.
Because AWS itself takes 60 days plus to complete. It has huge number of services. We would be touching EC2, IAM, networking, S3 for storage, and some advanced topics which would be discussed at the end of the course. That's it.
Okay.
So, hi Spanna, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we create the instance in the Northern Virginia region and we have to, like, you have to access the instance from any other region, should we have to use the same private key?
No. It is not possible, Chandra. So when you go to N California, you go to EC2 Management Console, it asks you to say get started. I don't think I have any instances created. Okay, I have created one in California. Fine.
Okay, are the instances are the region specific or they're not they're not for globally, right?
Instances are region specific, they're not global.
Okay.
And keys related with their instances are also region specific.
Okay.
They're not global. Okay. So, but you have one more key, that is user credentials, which we have downloaded earlier. So that is global.
Okay.
I'll tell you where we use it. At this point of time, we don't need it, but just try to remember it. I'll tell you when we go ahead and we actually try to configure AWS services from Jenkins end, we need that user key.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, then thank you. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.